Remember that time Carnage single-handedly invaded the US and threatened to take it all over? Oh, you don't? Well, let me refresh your memory. This is Carnage USA, a devastating, brutal story in the best of ways, written by Zeb Wells with art by Clayton Crane. I am Amanda McKnight, and I am going to tell you about it. I love how the story starts with a pretty cold open. In the first few pages, there is no information as to where Carnage is at or what is going on, why we, the reader, find ourselves in the sleepy little town of Doverton, Colorado, with a modest population of 1,145 people, soon to increase by 1 to 46. In a meat packing plant, we meet one of the line supervisors, who is taking note of some oddly gnarly meat that is passing through. He reminds his workers on the line to keep their blades sharp and let him know if they need new ones. I mean, guys, don't be making this meat so gnarly. Only to be met with a disturbing voice in response. All this blood. Just like home. Cut to Cletus Cassidy, covered head to toe in, well, blood. Not all of it from the meat on the hooks, by the way. Soaking up all the blood around him, we see Cletus transform into the villain, Carnage. 4 days later, Sheriff Brian O'Neill from Doverton shows up in a neighboring town, ranting and raving about Cletus's demands. Upon inspection, the authorities there discovered that he isn't actually carrying any list, but rather he is the list. Carved into his body are 500,000 words. The US Emergency Response Center is informed and chooses to act by contacting the Avengers. At the time, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Hawkeye are in the midst of a bet that involves Hawkeye basically shooting an apple off of the top of somebody's head. Spider-Man is currently unsuccessfully attempting to convince Wolverine to play the dummy for this bet and put the apple on his head. This is when Captain America interrupts them, this goofy business, to tell Spider-Man and the rest of the team that Carnage is back. Spider-Man suggests calling in the Thing, who might have something valuable to add to their team. After Hawkeye spends some time being kind of needlessly rude about how the Thing is the worst, honestly, Hawkeye's kind of a jerk a lot of the times, the team is off. The Thing does end up joining their team, and pretty soon they have all arrived, along with Ben Grimm's Sonic Disruptor, the perfect weapon if you are obviously hunting symbiotes. Sounds like a team that's got this, right? Captain America leading Wolverine, Spider-Man, Hawkeye, and the blue-eyed ever-loving Thing with a giant Sonic Disruptor. Well, I thought so too. But unfortunately, nah. They get to the town and immediately everything is super weird. People are just standing around saying big smiles and smiling mindlessly back at them. The whole place reeks of the smell of fear, according to Wolverine, despite everyone's outward creepy yet somewhat welcoming demeanor. When Cletus shows up, he claims the town and everyone in it as his own, saying they are his missuses, aka Carnages, and his children. Hawkeye wants to take a kill shot, but Carnage happens to be holding a little one, so Captain America orders him to stand down. Turns out this may not have been the best call though, because when Ben fires the Sonic Disruptor at Carnage, the symbiote explodes, covering almost all of the heroes, save Spidey, in symbiotic goo, which takes hold of their bodies and their minds. So it looks like it's time for Plan B, or should I say, Plan S, for symbiotes. After all, how do you beat a symbiote gone rogue when even the Avengers fail to save the day? Why, with more symbiotes, of course. That is the plan in issue number 2, when a symbiote team is put together featuring the Life Foundation symbiotes, who are attached to members of the 10th Special Forces group. They'll give a pretty impressive display of their abilities upon introduction, with my favorite actually being Phage among them, who is bonded to Lieutenant Rico Axelson, Navy SEAL, and with the combination of his symbiote, a very impressive sniper. Also joining this team is Dr. Tanis Knives, spelt Neeves but pronounced Knives, FYI. She is bonded to the Scorn symbiote, who is actually the child of Carnage that ended up living and kind of being born in Knives' prosthetic arm, as she was bonded to Carnage at one point. The Scorn symbiote is part bioorganic and part cybernetic, giving the Doctor the ability to communicate with technology and weaponry. Honestly, pretty cool. Spider-Man, who escaped Doverton after attempting to also save some of his fellow Avengers teammates and failing, ends up meeting with the remainder of the town's residents, who managed to escape Cletus and have been using the property of the now deceased owner of the meatpacking plant in town as their HQ, which also has its own private zoo, fun fact. Eric, who seems to be their leader, is attempting to get people organized for a rescue mission, as his kids and wife are still in the town and are being controlled and held hostage still. He's also kind of been declared as like the new sheriff. However, the survivors wonder if more Avengers might instead arrive to save the day because Spider-Man's there, but Spider-Man actually seems unsure about this. Which makes sense considering that, he was one of the team of Avengers that came to save the day, and then, they all almost instantly failed in that regard and were pretty much captured. Meanwhile, Cletus Cassidy relaxes at the bar with his new adopted family, the same family Eric is trying to save. When Hannah, Eric's wife, begs for her children back, Cletus asks her to prove that she is dedicated to this family by hunting down and killing her own husband. That would be Eric. He also asks that she complete this task as a family, so the kids can see where her priorities lie. Hannah, defeated, agrees, and we watch as the Carnage symbiote takes hold of her and her kids. Hannah, with her son Cole and her daughter Stephanie, arrive at the property the survivors are hiding out at. Eric sees them and rushes out to meet them, forcing the gate open when the rest of the survivors refuse to let him pass, also incidentally freeing the animals in the private zoo, causing them to escape into the rural countryside around the town. However, Eric's happy family reunion is cut short when Hannah reveals her true purpose. Fortunately, Spider-Man is able to swing down and help, and Hannah's willpower proves to be too strong for Carnage as she ultimately refuses to follow through with the dastardly deed that she would set out to accomplish. However, this prompts Carnage to take full control back over her and the kids, forcing them to head back to Cletus. Carnage promises to devour them as Spider-Man promises Eric that of course he will not let that happen. He's gonna protect this family. Meanwhile, back in the town, the secondary government team of symbiotes have arrived and are headed to confront Cletus, having followed back his spider pet, doppelganger, to the church where earlier on we saw Carnage controlling the mind of the priest, who commanded the townspeople to, well, pull out their own teeth to offer as a sacrifice to Cletus for taking such good care of them. Ugh, I really don't like that scene. Captain America struggles as he hears this, attempting to break free of Carnage's control, but ultimately failing, struggling to get a few words out in protest, threatening to put Cletus down. The 10 special forces of the group rushes the church, but are met with resistance as the Carnage-possessed residents of the town rush out to take them. Inside, Carnage threatens Hannah, attempting to force Captain America to take out her family. Fortunately, Captain America gets a surge of willpower and manages to break free long enough to sock Cassidy with his shield and order a spike drop on this location. As Cletus berates him, slowly taking back control, asking him, "Who did you call?" It's revealed that the call reached none other than Avengers Black Operator Victor Edward, with Flash Thompson's Agent Venom executing the order. Ooh, Agent Venom! Oh boy, things really start to pick up from this point. While Spider-Man leads the charge, bringing the survivors back to join him in the fight to reclaim their town, the Special Forces group also manages to head towards where Carnage is now holed up, the bar. Carnage is forced to come outside and confront the symbiote squad as well as Spider-Man. While Carnage is distracted, Eric rushes to the bar where his wife Hannah and his children were also being held. He's got his own hands full though, because he's got to struggle to save Hannah, who is kind of being strangulated here by well, the Carnage symbiote. Just when it seems like Spider-Man is about to have his eyes popped straight out of his mask by Cassidy, Agent Venom arrives, who Spider-Man mistakes for Punisher in a black and white Spider-Man costume. Or at least, jokes that that's what he looks like. Which honestly, it kinda does look like that. Agent Venom and Carnage start to fight, and at one point, Agent Venom threatens to end Cassidy for once and for all. But Spider-Man stops him, giving Carnage the opportunity to gain the upper hand again in the fight. Fortunately, they are interrupted at that moment by the arrival of Tannis Knives with the Scorn symbiote. Now, if you were wondering what she was doing this whole time, I mean, we haven't heard about her in a while, she was actually working on a pretty impressive plan. Build a device that can separate Carnage from Cletus. Not an easy feat, but she managed to accomplish it, and now we're gonna see how it works out. Tannis succeeds, but also accidentally separates Agent Venom from his symbiote as well, because they kinda get caught in that crossfire. Leaving us with just two determined men, both without their symbiotes. One, a deranged serial killer. One, a decorated military hero to duke it out. Both of whom actually don't have legs. Well, Cletus does have legs, sort of, but they're machine made, and it turns out that the device that separated him from his symbiote also basically left them destroyed. So we've got two legless men fighting on the ground. As Cletus and Flash fight for their lives, their symbiotes attach themselves to the escaped zoo animals, which of course, you may have wondered what happened to them. Well, here they are, they came back into the story. If you've ever wanted to see a carnageized lion fight a venomized gorilla, well, this is the story for you, my friends. The Venom gorilla is attempting to get back to his original host of Flash Thompson, but the Carnage lion comes to stop it. Fortunately though, Spider-Man has Venom's back and sucker punches the lion. The rest of our superheroes and townsfolk attempt to contain the rest of the Carnage symbiote attached to the other animals and still townspeople. However, they have some bigger problems headed their way. You see, the US military ordered for the town to be blown sky high should the special ops not be able to contain Carnage by dawn, and well, they're kinda out of time, the sun is coming up. Fortunately, Captain America is able to hop on their comms and basically intimidate their commander into scaling back his orders to target a smaller, concentrated area, focusing on not the whole town, but just sort of the major place that all the symbiotes are concentrated. As this is about to happen and all the missiles are flying in, Eric rushes his family to safety. Venom makes it back to Flash just as Cletus has him dangling from a meat hook. Threatening to take out his eyes, Agent Venom chooses to bring Cletus in alive, respecting Spider-Man's request from earlier on. However, Eric isn't ready to let this happen, as it's actually revealed that Cletus actually succeeded in killing one of his family members, his daughter, Stephanie. As our heroes look on at the wreckage and at Eric, who has just been stopped in his vengeful efforts by Spider-Man, they question if letting Cletus live is really the right call here. And honestly, kinda left wondering that too at the end of the story. Man, Tanis was such a cool character. I miss Knives. I wish Marvel had done more with her and with Scorn. It's just so cool. That's it though for the story about the time Carnage threatened to take over the US. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay nerdy, YouTube.